Lieutenant Mara Tate's heart pounds in her cramped escape pod as oxygen runs dangerously low and comms remain dead. The pod tumbles uncontrollably past the fractured hull of Orpheus 7, the silence of space pressing in. Through the viewport, Mara's wide eyes reflect terror and isolation as she spirals through the void. Every breath feels thinner, every heartbeat louder, the crushing loneliness of near death threatening to consume her. On the shattered hull of Orpheus 7, a lone figure moves with fluid precision. Clad in black bioarmor, they mount a makeshift turret, silhouetted against the broken metal and drifting debris. The stranger's movements are deliberate, urgent, almost ghost-like as they prepare for a desperate defense. Mara watches, hope flickering, as this mysterious savior silently promises salvation amid the wreckage. A sudden crackle of static breaks the void silence. The turret's anti-ship charge detonates with a shockwave, blasting debris far from Mara's escape pod. The explosion's rippling force sends shards spinning in slow motion, clearing a narrow path. Mara's pod veers through the newly opened corridor, relief and adrenaline flooding her veins. The danger momentarily held at bay, salvation arrives with decisive force. Mara's grip tightens on the pod's controls, breath catching. She's about to suffocate, yet owes her life to this unknown figure. Gratitude clashes with mistrust in her eyes. Great, she thinks, I'm alive, and I owe it to a ghost. The uneasy bond forged in crisis weighs heavy, tethering her fate to a stranger's mysterious mercy. The figure unholsters a jagged energy rifle and hurls it toward Mara's pod with practiced ease. Grab that, and don't thank me, move. The weapon spins through the void, its rough edges catching faint light. Mara catches it with determined hands, clutching it close as a lifeline. No time for gratitude. Survival demands swift action and brutal pragmatism. Metal shards whip past Mara's pod like lethal knives, the void alive with danger. Each fragment flashes cold against the viewport as she braces, muscles tense. The relentless hailstorm of shrapnel reminds her of how thin the line is between life and death, how quickly hope can shatter against space's cruel edge. The stranger's voice crackles over Mara's emergency channel, calm yet urgent. Name's Cade. Now aim for the airlock. Mara's fingers tighten around the rifle as hope surges. This connection, fragile but real, sparks a flicker of trust amid chaos. With Cade's guidance, she steers her pod toward the battered airlock, eyes sharp, breath steady, resolve hardening. Tethered by a lifeline stretching between pod and cruiser, Mara feels the cold weight of space and the warmth of unexpected hope. Her worst nightmare dissolves, replaced by a fierce determination to survive. As stars glitter beyond the void, she steadies her breath, embracing the stranger's aid, the first step from despair toward a new fight for life. The survey cruiser Orpheus 7, once a shining flagship of scientific exploration, now drifts as a shattered relic in deep space. Corporate exo-fleet's ruthless salvage embargo seals the wreck, forbidding any approach. Mangled hull plates curl inward, sensor arrays lie shattered and lifeless, and scorched metal scars tell silent tales of a violent end. Frozen in time, the cruiser floats against the backdrop of infinite stars, a monument to forgotten missions and lost glory. The weight of abandonment hangs heavy, a testament to the cold indifference of profit over progress. Automated salvage drones swarm the wreck like unfeeling vultures, circling in precise formations. Their sensors flash red warnings as they scan the hull relentlessly, tagging any unauthorized movement for immediate destruction. These mechanized scavengers show no mercy, driven only by cold corporate logic. In the vast silence of space, they're the relentless predators, ensuring nothing valuable escapes the exo-fleet's grasp. Flickering hollow panels aboard the pod flash grim warnings. No survivors reported. All pods considered empty. The official silence from command broadcasts a harsh verdict, erasing hope with bureaucratic finality. The message repeats in cold, digital tones, sealing the fate of those aboard, or so it claims. Within these dying lights, the station's tragedy is sealed not by conflict alone, but by the ruthless hand of official denial. Ducking beneath the drifting frame of a heat exchanger, Mara's lips curl in bitter defiance. Empty? Ha! She whispers sharply, eyes narrowing behind the pod's viewport. Every shadow conceals danger, yet her fierce gaze refuses to accept the official narrative. Survival instincts blaze as she scans the silent corridors, determined to prove that no declaration, no matter how authoritative, can silence the living will of those still breathing. Outside, half-destroyed external turrets twitch and ping faintly, their sensors hunting for power signals in the void. Though battered, these cold death traps lurk silently, ready to spring lethal fire upon any approaching prey. Their red targeting lasers sweep the darkness in eerie arcs, flickering with malicious anticipation. The haunting hum of standby systems echoes through the wreck's empty corridors, a grim reminder that danger is ever present, even in apparent silence. Beyond the wreck, shadowy corporate patrol corvettes glide silently in hidden orbits. Their cold scanners slice through debris fields, relentlessly searching for any stray transponder signals. These unseen hunters enforce the exofleet's will with ruthless precision, ensuring no survivor slips through their net. As watchers in the dark, they embody the oppressive gaze of corporate power, transforming the wreck into a prison of surveillance where hope is as fragile as a dying star. Every hull breach, every static-ridden transmission from the station's failing distress feed speaks of abandonment and despair. Crackling comms carry broken alerts and fractured cries for help, fading into haunting silence. Emergency lights flicker sporadically, casting long shadows down empty passageways lined with twisted metal and shattered glass. These echoes are the ghosts of the station's final hours, ghosts that whisper of lost lives, dashed hopes, and a silent surrender to overwhelming forces. In the stillness, the station mourns itself, a monument to forsaken pleas unheard. Suddenly, Cade's signal cuts sharply through the void silence, a burst of clarity amid static. Mara's breath hitches as the comm panel lights up with renewed life, the tone unmistakably human and urgent. This signal is no promise of rescue. It heralds a reckoning, a challenge to the deathly stillness enforced by corporate might. In that moment, Mara senses a turning tide, the stirrings of defiance ready to shatter the void's cold grip. Cade pilots his patched-together boarding skiff with razor focus, dodging tumbling debris and fractured metal shards drifting through the void. His eyes lock on Mara's spinning escape pod, oxygen levels dangerously low. With a precise harpoon shot, the tether latches onto the pod's hull, trailing a wire like a lifeline. In one gravity-defying lunge, Cade reels the pod closer, his body bracing against the skiff's thruster's push. Time stretches. Slow motion highlights his outstretched arms as he yanks Mara free from the failing pod. She gasps, eyes wide, as she's pulled aboard, the chaos of zero-G swirling around them. The danger is palpable, the risk immense, but in this desperate rescue, trust is born. Against the unforgiving void, Cade's daring action marks the thin line between life and oblivion. Inside the cramped airlock, Mara slumps against the cold bulkhead, exhaustion pulling at her limbs. Cade wastes no time. His gloved hands rip at the cuff of her damaged suit, revealing pale skin clammy from oxygen deprivation. From his medkit, he injects a glowing serum, emergency oxygen synthesized to revive her fading breath. As the serum flows into her veins, Mara coughs weakly, and their hands brush briefly. The contact is fleeting but electric, a spark of humanity in the sterile metal confines. Flickering emergency lights cast soft shadows, framing the moment's fragile intimacy. In this small gesture, Amid the chaos and desolation, an unspoken connection forms, a lifeline stronger than any tether in space. Still coughing, Mara manages a raspy murmur. Thanks for the free ride. Cade smirks beneath his helmet, the corners of his mouth twitching with dry humor. Keep breathing, I'm not done with you yet, he replies, voice low but steady. The brief exchange cracks the tension, a momentary reprieve from the relentless threat surrounding them. Even in the depths of peril, humor seeps through, a shield against despair. Their faces relax just enough to reveal the fragile humanity beneath the armor, the shared understanding that survival often rides on such small sparks of levity. As the airlock hisses shut, sealing them from the void, Mara and Cade exchange no names, only measured nods, heavy with unspoken agreement. Words are a luxury in this hostile space. Survival demands immediate trust, however tenuous. Their eyes meet briefly, wary, searching, yet resolute. No promises are made, but a pact is forged. They will live to fight another day, together. Around them, the hum of machinery and filtered breaths fills the tight space. In this quiet moment, the foundation of alliance is laid, born not of friendship, but necessity. Both understand the void's unforgiving nature, and that companionship, even with strangers, might be the key to enduring its endless silence. Cade moves swiftly across the fractured deck plating of the Orpheus 7 wreck, his boots echoing in hollow corridors. His eyes scan the debris, searching for anything functional. Spotting a flicker of light, he pries a scorched datapad free from tangled cables and shattered consoles. The device sputters to life, displaying a flickering heat map of the station's interior. Bright patches mark recent activity, darker zones signal dangers, traps, breaches, or lurking enemies. Cade's fingers dance over the worn interface, mapping potential escape routes and choke points. This precious knowledge is their best chance to navigate the shattered labyrinth. In this scavenged glow, hope anchors itself, casting light onto the unknown paths ahead. Mara's voice snaps sharply, "You're insane." The words cut through the tension, but carry a hint of reluctant admiration. Cade shrugs with a casual grin, helmet glinting in the dim light. "Only when it pays off," he answers, eyes gleaming with a daredevil's confidence. Their banter, raw and real, eases the crushing weight of danger. It's not just survival, it's defiance. In this razor's edge of madness and method, their bond deepens. Humor becomes armor, camaraderie a weapon. Together, they push forward, driven by a shared understanding that sometimes the wildest moves are the ones that save lives. As the hatch seals with a hiss behind them, Mara catches the faint reflection of Cade's scarred visor in the polished metal panel. The chipped and worn surface mirrors the countless battles he's endured, silent testament to resilience. In that brief reflection, Mara senses more than a stranger. She sees a companion forged by the void's relentless trials. No words are needed. Only a subtle nod passes between them, affirming a new unity. In the vast loneliness of space, where isolation threatens sanity, this bond becomes their lifeline. Together, they face the unknown, their fates intertwined against the cold, indifferent stars. Cade's gloved fingers danced over the datapad, weaving through encrypted code streams. The pod's beacon, once a simple distress signal, now pulsed with hidden life as Cade rerouted its broadcast to the forged black net, a shadowy digital underworld where corporate exofleet scrubs couldn't track them. Holocode cascaded in vibrant greens and blues, symbols of his covert hack lighting the cramped cockpit. The tension in the air thickened. One wrong move, and the corporates would zero in on their position. But Cade's expertise was undeniable. His fingers flew, bypassing firewalls and scrubbing traces. Each successful override deepened the shroud around them, concealing their presence from hostile eyes. In the void, where technology ruled with brutal precision, this act of digital espionage was their first weapon. Cade's smirk flickered beneath the helmet's visor. Let's ghost them. As the datapad pulsed with decrypted info, Cade lowered his visor, revealing sharp, haunted eyes beneath a battered helmet. Name's Kale Voss. Codename Revenant. Mara's breath caught. He wasn't just some scavenger. He was an XXO fleet assassin, marked dead on every corporate contract. Ghosts whispered his name across battlefields and boardrooms alike, a legend of lethal precision and ruthless efficiency turned rogue. His past clung to him like armor, visible in the scar, tracing his jaw and the cold determination in his gaze. Mara's shock melted into wary respect. Trust was a luxury, but knowing his identity gave weight to their fragile alliance. You carry death in your wake, she said softly. Voss nodded. And now, a chance for redemption. A flickering hollow feed ignited in the dim cockpit, ghostly images drifting through space and time. Silhouettes of Kale Voss moved with deadly grace, executing high-value targets amidst silent starfields. Laser beams traced arcs of light, punctuated by sudden, silent explosions as bodies floated, defeated in zero gravity. The cold ballet of war played out in slow motion. Voss's figure was both predator and phantom, weaving between wreckage with uncanny precision. Each maneuver was etched deep within his neural imprint, replayed endlessly like a haunting symphony of past violence. Mara watched, captivated yet unsettled, as the ghost of a warrior emerged from the haze, reminding her that even in the cold vastness, human shadows never fade completely. Mara's eyes widened as holographic planetary models spun before her, shifting from vibrant green to scorched brown in chilling succession. The Orpheus 7 carried R&D samples with terrifying dual potential, engineered microbes designed to terraform lifeless worlds, or, if weaponized, to unleash ecological genocide on inhabited planets. This fragile balance between creation and destruction weighed heavily on them both. Mara's pulse quickened as realization dawned. The station's secrets were not just scientific breakthroughs, but ticking time bombs capable of planetary-scale devastation. This isn't just salvage, she whispered. It's the future, or the end of it. Voss's gaze hardened, and that future is worth fighting for, no matter the cost. Her grip tightened around her sidearm. They'd kill half a planet for that tech, Mara said, voice trembling with the enormity of the threat. Voss's usually hard expression softened, revealing a trace of regret. I destroyed the prototype once, he admitted quietly, but now they want a replacement. Something better. The shadow of relentless pursuit loomed between them. Corporate forces driven by greed and ambition, willing to sacrifice billions to control the ultimate weapon. Mara's breath caught in her throat. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were guardians of a fragile hope, holding the line against annihilation. On the datapad's hollow screen, a buried manifest scrolled in ominous red text. Project Genesis. Seed worlds or scorch them. The cold, clinical wording belied the devastating implications. Mara's shoulders shuddered involuntarily. She had been part of the team that engineered these vectors, unaware of how close their creation teetered between salvation and doom. The weight of complicity pressed heavily on her conscience. This was not mere science. It was a gamble with the very fabric of life. Somewhere deep in the station, protocols awaited activation to unleash either rebirth or destruction. Time was running out, and the choice rested with them. Sudden beeps shattered the tense silence. External sensors flashed warnings. Corporate salvage shuttles were converging fast, closing distance with lethal intent. The countdown clock blinked, T-minus 7:32. The crew scrambled, voices rising in urgent bursts as systems hummed into overdrive. Every second ticked down the moment before confrontation. The station's fragile defenses braced for assault while Mara and Voss exchanged grim looks, aware that escape routes were shrinking, options dwindling. The race against time was no longer theoretical. It was a pulse-pounding reality that demanded swift, decisive action. Voss's fingers flew across Mara's HUD interface, flooding her display with a torrent of critical data. Hyperspace exit points blinked bright against the station schematics, while salvage drone blind spots flickered in neon hues, revealing hidden safe corridors. Every passage, hatch, and ventilation shaft was etched with tactical precision, illuminating the path through the shattered labyrinth. Mara's eyes scanned rapidly, memorizing escape vectors and potential choke points. This digital cartography was more than navigation, it was their lifeline. As the information streamed in, a spark of hope ignited, transforming the overwhelming wreckage into a navigable battlefield. Knowledge had become their sharpest weapon in a desperate fight for survival. Voss tapped the datapad, and a holographic emblem shimmered into view, bold letters spelling WRAITQERD. He met Mara's eyes, voice low but resolute. They'll call you that now. The weight of the new codename settled between them, signaling a rebirth and a mantle of protection. Mara absorbed the significance, no longer a lost survivor, but a guardian rising from the shadows. The title carried expectation and purpose, binding her to the fight ahead. In this shared moment, identity forged in crisis, she embraced her new role, silent protector, fierce and unyielding. Mara clasped Voss's arm firmly. Then we protect it together. His gauntlet pulsed warmly against her hand, mirroring the determination burning in their eyes. The alliance was more than strategy. It was a solemn vow forged in the heat of danger. No longer isolated individuals, they stood as one force against overwhelming odds. Around them, the station hummed with renewed energy, a fragile bastion of hope. This shared commitment sealed their fates together, binding them to the mission that transcended survival. It was a fight to safeguard life itself. With a determined grunt, Voss ignited the skiff's patched thrusters. Flames and ion trails burst from the rear as they tore free from Orpheus 7's waning gravity well. The station's fractured hull receded rapidly, replaced by the vast emptiness of space. Behind them, debris tumbled silently, a haunting reminder of what they left behind. The adrenaline surged as engines roared, propelling them toward uncertain freedom. For a fleeting moment, escape felt possible. But danger lingered in the dark. Corporate forces were closing fast. Voss's eyes narrowed. This is only the beginning. As distant corporate boarding pods bloomed like deadly flowers in the void, Mara leveled her sidearm, voice steady and fierce. Let them try to catch us now. Voss stood beside her, weapon ready, the skiff's hull humming with defiance. Around them, the cold expanse was filled with a newfound fire, the birth of an unbreakable alliance. They weren't just fighting to survive, they were fighting to take back what was stolen. United in purpose and hardened by fire, their rebellion had begun. Together, they plunged headlong into the dark, ready to turn the tide. From the shadowed edge of Araxis IV's orbit, corporate exofleet frigates shimmered into existence, decloaking with a lethal grace. Plasma lances roared to life, their energized coils humming as they charged to scorch any hull lacking proper clearance. The void erupted with streaks of glowing blue and crackling orange, the frigate's massive frames silhouetted against the planet's pale surface. The air in the skiff thickened with tension as Mara and Voss watched the unstoppable force emerge, a wall of corporate might poised to obliterate all opposition. The cacophony of energy weapons echoed across space, a symphony of destruction threatening to consume them. Mara's jaw clenched as she gripped the console tighter. The firefight was no longer avoidable. These were the final hunters, bearing down fast and merciless. The countdown to annihilation had begun, and every second stretched taut with dread. Flickering holobills cut through the darkness of shadowed data dens and black market back channels. Data couriers, faces obscured by digital masks, broadcast lucrative bounties across illicit networks. 100 million credits for the scalp of Wraithguard and her pod's lone survivor. Whispers of the prize spread like wildfire, turning survival into a deadly currency. Mara's name, once unknown, now glowed in red alongside the infamous Wraithguard codename. Mercenaries sharpened blades, smugglers adjusted plans, and killers salivated at the thought of the payoff. The commodification of life was complete. The hunted had become the prize, and the void, their ruthless arena. Voss's eyes darkened as he scanned the streaming bounties. In this merciless game, every breath was a risk, every move weighed by price. Beyond the lawless fringe, pirate enclaves buzzed with greed and anticipation. The Genesis samples, biotech secrets capable of reshaping worlds or unleashing devastation, were the ultimate prize. Huddled around flickering hollow tables, pirate lords traced trajectories, salivating over the potential fortunes to be made in black market trade or outright ecological warfare. Plans were whispered in guttural tones, alliances forged in shadows, each faction vying for dominance. Mara and Voss had unknowingly stumbled into a powder keg where profit drove chaos and betrayal. The pirates saw opportunity amid corporate greed, ready to exploit every weakness. The stakes escalated beyond survival. This was a battle for control over creation itself. Static hissed through the comm link as Mara's voice cut sharp through the interference. "Tell them to line up." Her tone was a razor edge of defiance, unyielding even in the face of overwhelming firepower. Crew members around her stiffened, drawing strength from her unbreakable spirit. The broken comms carried the message not just to enemies, but to allies watching in silence. Resistance would not bow quietly. Mara's fierce command inspired a swell of determination. They were more than survivors. Despite the chaos, hope burned fiercely in her eyes, a promise that they would fight for every inch, every moment, and every life. From the digital shadows, Voss's old contacts emerged, outlaw tech runners known for skirting the edges of legality and corporate reach. Flickering encrypted comms sparked between them, voices low but urgent. These rogue operators locked onto Voss's transponder beacon, offering a narrow lifeline, safe passage through the dead zones, in exchange for undeniable proof of the Genesis samples. Trust was a scarce commodity in the underworld, but necessity forged the deal. Mara's wary gaze met Voss's steady nod. Sometimes survival meant relying on those outside the law, on those willing to bet against the system for a common cause. Every communication waypoint was a potential ambush, every signal a beacon for predators. Mara's hand hovered decisively over the console, then slammed down to sever their uplink. "We make our own refuge," she declared, eyes hard with resolve. The flickering connections snapped dead, leaving them in digital silence, but sovereign control. Around them, faces hardened, understanding that in this hostile universe, autonomy was the greatest weapon. They would carve their own sanctuary, no longer waiting for rescue or mercy, but seizing it on their own terms. Beneath the sprawling belt of ice chunks, the patched skiff darted like a shadow weaving through a meteor curtain. Mara's hands gripped the controls with fierce concentration, guiding the craft through twisting trajectories that sent shimmering shards glittering past. Engines flared as Voss navigated tight gaps between tumbling debris, every maneuver precise, every second critical. Behind them, the relentless hum of pursuit grew louder, corporate corvettes slicing the void with deadly intent. The skiff's only shield was skill and grit, slicing through the frozen chaos with breaths held and hearts racing. The cold expanse echoed with tension, a ballet of survival unfolding beneath the cold light of distant stars. Inside the cramped cockpit of the skiff, Mara's hands trembled as she scrolled through Voss's kill orders. A cold list etched with names of colleagues she once trusted, now reduced to casualties of a brutal survival game. Each name flickered on the datapad's soft glow, a silent reminder of shattered alliances and haunting betrayals. Her breath caught as memories flooded back, friends lost, promises broken, and a mission turned nightmare. The weight of the list pressed heavily on her chest. This wasn't just data. It was a ledger of pain and fractured loyalty. The very people she'd fought beside, now marked for death under a name she barely dared to speak aloud. Voss closed his eyes, his voice barely a whisper in the confined space. I never wanted their deaths, only to survive. The confession hung in the stale air like a dark cloud. His face was partially shadowed by the dim cockpit lights, lines of exhaustion etched deep from years of impossible choices. Survival had demanded sacrifices that clawed at his conscience nightly. Each life lost was a wound he carried silently, a price exacted by the cruel laws of their universe. Yet beneath the regret was the hard truth. When the void offered no mercy, only the strongest could hope to endure. His guilt was heavy, but so was his will to keep fighting. Her voice cracked, sharp and accusing. You're a murderer. Mara turned away, anger and fear twisting in her gut as the words settled between them. The cramped cockpit felt colder now, a widening chasm forming where trust had once flickered. Her back stiffened, breath shallow, as she wrestled with the revelation. Was the man who saved her also the one who had taken so many lives? Voss watched silently, accepting the verdict without protest. The gulf between them yawned wide, filled with doubt and unspoken questions. Mara's heart battled betrayal, her mind torn between survival's harsh necessities and the shadowed cost they demanded. The skiff's engines hummed steadily, a mechanical pulse filling the heavy silence that stretched between Mara and Voss. The confined cockpit seemed smaller now, suffused with unspoken tension and fractured trust. Outside, the stars glimmered indifferent to human turmoil, while inside, the faint buzz of systems was the only sound binding two estranged souls. Their eyes avoided meeting, the space between their bodies charged with unvoiced fears and fragile hopes. Each breath was heavy with hesitation, the silence a fragile barrier shielding them from the raw wounds of betrayal. In this small vessel adrift in the void, isolation was both physical and emotional. Voss powered down the comm with a deliberate press, voice low and raw. I'd have killed you, too, if I thought you were the threat. The brutal honesty shattered any illusions, exposing the razor-thin line between friend and foe in their ruthless world. His eyes, dark and earnest beneath the visor, searched Mara's face for understanding, for a thread of trust to cling to. In that confession lay vulnerability, a rare admission from a man forged in shadows and survival. The air was thick with fragile possibility. Trust hung suspended on the edge of a blade, waiting for either acceptance or final fracture. Mara folded the data pad decisively, fixing Voss with a steady, unwavering gaze. Then prove you're not. Her voice was calm, resolute, a beacon cutting through the storm of doubt. This challenge was not just a test, but a lifeline extended in the darkness. She would not abandon the fragile hope between them, without seeing it forged into something real. Her posture straightened, eyes blazing with a mix of skepticism and cautious optimism. In that moment, she chose to face the uncertain path forward, demanding action where words had failed. The rift could only heal if trust was rebuilt through deeds. With a steady hand, Voss re-engaged the thrusters, the low rumble growing louder beneath their feet. Watch me, he said simply, a promise wrapped in determination. The control panel lit up with renewed energy as systems hummed back to life, shaking off the weight of doubt. Mara's eyes narrowed, watching the instruments and his steady movements, proof that beneath the scars was a partner willing to fight alongside her. The subtle shift in atmosphere marked the tentative rebirth of their alliance. In the vast void, trust was fragile, but through action, it began to take shape once more. The skiff rumbled as it touched down on Raven's Hold, an asteroid fortress carved deep into ancient black rock. Lanterns flickered weakly, casting long shadows across rough-hewn tunnels that twisted through the heart of this hidden sanctuary. The air was thick with dust and the scent of cold stone, punctuated by the muted echoes of footsteps and whispered conversations. Outside, the endless void stretched cold and indifferent, but within these walls, a fragile hope flickered. The hold was a refuge forged by necessity, rough, unwelcoming, yet fiercely defended. Sparse metal supports creaked underfoot, and patches of salvage tech hummed softly, keeping the dark at bay. Here, in this precarious bastion, Mara and Voss found the first taste of safety since the Orpheus Seven's fall. It was a sanctuary born not from comfort, but from survival, and the unyielding will to keep fighting in the shadow of the stars. Voss's syndicate awaited within the dim corridors, an unlikely brotherhood forged from ex-soldiers, engineers, and renegade data freaks, all marked by scars both visible and hidden. Their eyes flickered with suspicion as Mara and Voss entered, weapons close, every movement measured. These survivors had seen too much betrayal to trust easily. Yet beneath the wary stares, a glimmer of hope kindled. The engineers exchanged wary nods. Data freaks tapped encrypted codes nervously, and the ex-soldiers flexed fingers around weathered weapons. Mara's presence stirred whispers. This was no ordinary refugee, but someone determined, and Voss's reputation as a rogue assassin lent weight to their cause. Slowly, the air softened. The clan's cautious greeting became tentative acceptance. Here, among society's cast-offs, a new alliance was poised to emerge, one bound by shared purpose and the desperate need to protect what remained of a fractured galaxy. Stepping into the center of the gathered clan, Mara holstered her sidearm, raising her chin with unwavering resolve. We keep Genesis safe, or we die trying. Her voice cut through the murmurs like a blade, demanding attention and inspiring action. Eyes turned toward her, nodding in solemn agreement, as a spark ignited in the group's weary hearts. Her words echoed the unspoken truth. They were fighting not just for survival, but for a future where this destructive power could be harnessed or denied to those who would misuse it. The outcasts, hardened by loss and exile, found new purpose in her defiant declaration. Energy surged through the hold, a ripple of strength that would carry them through the looming darkness. Mara's stand was more than a statement. It was a call to arms, a beacon of courage that refused to be extinguished. In a sudden, unanimous gesture, the clan raised their salvage tools, wrenches, improvised blades, and patched weapons, high above their heads. Wraithguard and Scientist, lead us. The chant rose, raw and powerful, filling the cavernous hold with the sound of determined defiance. Faces hardened by hardship glowed with a shared resolve, and hands gripped tools with renewed purpose. The air thrummed with electricity and unspoken promises, the flickering lanterns casting dancing shadows on raised fists and resolute eyes. In that moment, a fractured group became a singular force, united under the banners of Mara and Voss. The alliance was no longer tentative. It was forged in fire, ready to face whatever darkness awaited beyond their hidden refuge. Mara locked eyes with Voss across the gathering, the weight of countless trials reflected in their shared gaze. For a fleeting moment, the shadows of doubt and betrayal melted away, replaced by a quiet, unspoken understanding. Subtle smiles softened their hardened expressions, and shoulders relaxed from the tension of constant vigilance. In that glance lay a promise, not just of survival, but of partnership and unwavering loyalty. Silent communication passed between them, a bridge over fractured pasts and uncertain futures. The unsteady flame of trust was no longer flickering alone. It blazed brighter, illuminating the path ahead in the cold void. As the clan's tech runners gathered at their consoles, fingers flew over worn hollow interfaces, activating an improvised stealth field surrounding Raven's hold. The asteroid's jagged contours shimmered faintly as energy rippled across its surface, bending sensors and scrambling enemy scanners. Hollow screens displayed flickering no-contact messages, and once aggressive sensor pings fell silent. The hold vanished from all but the most sophisticated detection arrays, ghosted into the cosmic shadows. This digital cloak was their lifeline, a shield born of desperate innovation and raw technical skill. Within the tunnels, whispers of relief mingled with steady breaths as the clan embraced this fleeting invisibility. In a universe ruled by relentless pursuit, Raven's Hold had become a phantom fortress, a sanctuary cloaked in shadow, holding the fragile hope of all who dared to fight back. Mara and Voss worked in unison, their fingers flying across the datapad as they broadcasted the Genesis schematics. These blueprints, encrypted with complex anti-decode runes, broke the chains of secrecy, releasing forbidden knowledge into the public domain. Streams of glowing data pulses surged outward from Raven's Hold, slicing through the void toward rebel networks scattered across star systems. Every transmission was a beacon of defiance, signaling hope to the oppressed and a warning to their corporate pursuers. Within the holographic interface, cascading lines of encrypted code shimmered like a digital aurora, igniting distant receivers that flickered to life. The act was radical. Knowledge turned weapon, shared freely to empower those who dare challenge corporate tyranny. For Mara and Voss, the uplink was more than strategy. It was liberation. By freeing Genesis's secrets, they armed a galaxy desperate for salvation, sowing the seeds of resistance across the cosmos in a cascade of shimmering light. Without warning, the corporate exofleet frigates decloaked in a coordinated assault, plasma lances charging and slicing through the blackness of space. The once stable asteroid facets of Raven's Hold cracked violently under ion barges, detonating cascades of rock that sent deadly debris spiraling in all directions. Explosions echoed like thunder, shaking the fortress and forcing defenders to brace against tremors reverberating through the tunnels. Clouds of fragmented stone spun in chaotic orbits, threatening to sever escape routes and crush vital equipment. Amid the storm, Mara and Voss stood steady, eyes flickering to external sensors that tracked the relentless onslaught. The exofleet's overwhelming firepower was meant to crush hope itself, to erase all trace of rebellion in a wave of destruction. Yet beneath the jagged ruin and shattering rocks, the heartbeat of resistance thrummed strong, unyielding against the encroaching storm of corporate wrath. High above the battered hold, Voss coordinated a daring counterattack, orbital squadrons of stolen fighters darting through asteroid fields with deadly precision. His voice crackled over comms. Blind them first. The pilots wove hit-and-run strikes, targeting exofleet sensor arrays and targeting systems, plunging enemy ships into blind chaos. Energy blasts scorched enemy hulls while nimble fighters twisted through debris, disrupting coordinated fire. Tactical holomaps displayed rapid maneuvers, fighters darting like shadows between beams of light, striking and fading before retaliation could mount. Frustration rippled through the corporate fleet as their weapons faltered against the calculated chaos. Voss's strategy exploited every weakness, blending cunning and skill to offset the fleet's overwhelming numbers. The rogue pilots became phantoms, slipping past defenses and fraying the enemy's grip, proving that brains and precision could turn the tide against even the deadliest armada. Back inside Raven's Hold, Mara labored over a cluster of terraforming nanites, recalibrating their programming with delicate precision. Originally designed to seed barren worlds with life, these microscopic machines were now weaponized to corrode exofleet hull alloys on contact. Their shifting metallic sheen pulsed under her microscope, transforming from instruments of creation into agents of calculated destruction. As Mara adjusted their chemical signatures, the nanites responded, spreading visible corrosion through test samples with relentless efficiency. Each microscopic agent was a silent assassin, designed to degrade and weaken corporate vessels from within. This desperate adaptation reflected Mara's brilliance and fierce resolve, turning science against those who sought to control it. Outside, Her team monitored battlefield sensors, watching as nanite swarms found their marks, eating away at metal plating and turning invincible warships into fragile cages. The weaponized nanites became a symbol of survival, the thin edge of hope slicing through corporate dominance. From the skiff's cramped gunner seat, Mara's voice rose above the chaos, fierce and resolute. "This is for every world they condemned," she shouted, rallying the ragged defenders as laser turrets blazed and energy bolts screamed through space. Her eyes burned with fiery determination, matching the intensity of the battle raging around her. Crew members felt the surge, their focus sharpening and weapons firing with renewed purpose. Each blast carried the weight of lost planets, silenced cries, and shattered futures, an anthem of resistance forged in fire and sacrifice. Mara's rallying cry echoed through comm channels, igniting hearts and fueling resolve. In that moment, fury and hope intertwined, propelling the Phoenix Guard to push harder, fight smarter, and defy the crushing tide of the corporate armada determined to snuff out their light. With deft fingers, Mara flooded rebel communication networks with the Genesis Cure protocols, a torrent of hope cascading across star systems strangled by corporate control. Holoscreens in hidden rebel outposts flickered to life as encrypted data streamed in, illuminating faces weary from despair. Engineers and medics studied the detailed blueprints, sharing knowledge that could heal dying exoplanets and reclaim ravaged ecosystems. Each data packet carried not just scientific formulas, but the promise of liberation from corporate chokeholds. As stations in remote sectors received the uplink, murmurs of relief and determination spread. This digital lifeline knit disparate factions into a united front, empowering the oppressed to rise with science as their weapon. Mara's data torrent was a beacon, broadcasting salvation, fueling resistance, and heralding a future where no world would suffer in silence. Faced with unexpected hull corrosion and surging defections among their ranks, Exofleet cruiser captains made a grim decision: to withdraw. Orders crackled through comms as ships scrambled from the fray, engines flaring against the void. The once formidable armada faltered, its cohesion shattered by the relentless assault and unseen internal betrayals. Rebel fighters pressed their advantage, sweeping forward with precision and renewed confidence. Explosions lit the darkness as corporate vessels blasted escape routes open, desperate to avoid total annihilation. Among the fleeing ships, tension and fear ran high, whispered rumors of vulnerability spreading like wildfire. Ravenshold's defenders watched as the enemy's massive force dissolved into scattered remnants, a testament to the power of resilience, cunning, and innovation. Victory, hard-won and fragile, marked the turning point in a desperate war. As the dust of battle settled, Ravenshold orbited silently in the cold starlight, a battered sanctuary among scattered debris. Survivors exhaled long-held breaths, shoulders relaxing as the oppressive tension eased. Groups gathered around the glowing Wraithguard emblem etched into the central chamber's floor, a symbol of hope and unity born from chaos. Faces once etched with fear softened, and quiet conversations blossomed into renewed camaraderie. The flickering hollow sigil cast gentle light over the tired but determined souls, illuminating a fragile peace won through sacrifice. Outside, stars shimmered coldly, indifferent yet witnessing this moment of calm triumph. Within these walls, the survivors prepared for whatever storms might come next, fortified by the bonds forged in battle and the unyielding promise of a brighter tomorrow. On a towering spire carved from black stone, Voss and Mara stood silhouetted against the vast starfield, their figures bathed in the flickering glow of the hollow sigil. The emblem pulsed steadily, proclaiming, "Genesis free, all worlds healed." This moment marked the birth of a new era, one defined by freedom, resilience, and hope. Their solemn vows echoed silently across the void, binding them and their allies to protect the secrets of Genesis and champion life's renewal across the galaxy. Around them, survivors gathered, faces lifted toward the stars, united by shared sacrifice and unwavering purpose. In the heart of darkness, a beacon shone forth, promising that even in the harshest void, life could flourish and that together, they would defend that fragile light forever. Once barren and silent, exoplanets long thought doomed now burst with vibrant life, thanks to the relentless work of autonomous Genesis nanite swarms. Emerald seas shimmer under alien suns, their surfaces rippling with newfound currents. Violet forests stretch endlessly across hills and valleys, leaves sparkling with dew from alien mists. These tiny, self-replicating machines hum softly as they nurture soil, cleanse atmospheres, and seed every corner with organic promise. The transformation is breathtaking. A once desolate world, now a tapestry of color and sound, alive with the gentle pulse of ecosystems awakening. From sweeping panoramic vistas, the glistening waters reflect skies streaked with unfamiliar constellations. Swarms drift like gentle rain, their microscopic work turning death into rebirth. Across planets scattered in distant star systems, life returns, an enduring testament to nature's resilience and the unwavering hope that even the darkest voids can bloom anew. In biodomes glittering with artificial sunlight, Mara takes on the role of mentor, training planetary ecologists who will oversee the delicate recovery of these reborn worlds. She guides hands through soil samples, teaches the nuances of alien flora, and leads lectures on ecosystem balance. Nearby, Voss instructs former pilots in the art of planetary defense, transforming them into guardians equipped to protect fledgling colonies from threats both natural and hostile. Simulators hum with lifelike scenarios, asteroid impacts, pirate raids, and biohazard breaches, preparing these new defenders for every challenge. The atmosphere buzzes with focused determination, each trainee absorbing skills vital for stewardship. This knowledge transfer is more than education. It's empowerment, laying a foundation for sustainable peace. Together, Mara and Voss foster a new generation committed to nurturing life and safeguarding fragile hope in the far reaches of space. Offered formal command of the fledgling coalition, Mara and Voss share a knowing glance and a quiet smile before declining. "We'll guard from the shadows," Mara states firmly. Their choice reflects humility and a deep understanding that true leadership often means serving without acclaim. The coalition leaders respect their decision, nodding in approval as the duo steps back from the limelight. Their role is clear: protect without governing, influence without dominating. In this selfless guardianship, they find strength and purpose, embodying the very spirit of the Wraith Guard. Their presence is a silent shield, unseen but unyielding, a promise that the fragile new world will be watched over by vigilant hands committed to life survival, even if their names fade into legend. Hand in gauntlet, Mara and Voss stand atop a gentle ridge, watching twin suns crest the horizon of a recently restored world. Warm light spills over alien landscapes, bathing their faces in golden hues that speak of hope born from sacrifice. Around them, a soft breeze stirs strange grasses and blossoms, whispering tales of renewal. In that quiet moment, their shared mission feels real and deeply personal, a bond forged in adversity and dedication. Their eyes meet, unspoken understanding passing between them, shadows of past doubts melting away. Together, they witness the dawn of new beginnings, proof that even in the wake of loss, life finds a way to rise, radiant and unbroken. Within starports scattered across liberated systems, the Raven's Hold crest hangs proudly, a symbol of resilience and rebirth. Its intricate design, a raven silhouetted against a rising sun, inspires all who gaze upon it. Diverse faces, from curious children to weathered elders, pause to admire the emblem, stories of Mara and Voss passed down in whispered reverence. Elders recount tales of the Wraith Guard and the scientist who turned oblivion into hope, weaving history into a tapestry of collective memory. The crest serves as a beacon, reminding generations that even the darkest shadows can give way to light. It is a testament to enduring legacy, the power of courage, and the unbreakable will to protect life, wherever it may bloom. In the heart of the Coalition's bustling Central Plaza, a child tugs gently at Mara's sleeve. Wide-eyed and curious, the youngster asks, "Are you the lieutenant they call Genesis Guardian?" Around them, the plaza hums with life. Vendors calling out, children darting between market stalls, and citizens from countless worlds sharing quiet conversations. Mara kneels down, her face softening into a gentle smile as she meets the child's eager gaze. The sun filters through banners fluttering overhead, casting dappled light on the stone and metal structures. This simple question bridges generations, linking the heroic past to an unfolding future. In that moment, hope flows freely through the crowd, alive and unbroken. Mara lowers herself to the child's level, her voice soft as morning light. "I was lost until I found the most dangerous ally." Her eyes glisten with quiet pride and the weight of hard-earned trust. She thinks back on the trials, the narrow escapes, and the unlikely partnership that reshaped her fate. This wasn't just about survival. It was about connection, redemption, and standing together against impossible odds. Mara's words carry the subtle power of hope born from shared struggle. The child listens intently, wide-eyed, sensing something greater beneath the surface. Around them, the hum of the plaza seems to pause, as if honoring the unspoken promise of unity that the lieutenant's reply embodies. A promise that even in the void, no one fights alone. Standing steady beside Mara, Voss lifts his visor, revealing eyes warm and resolute beneath battle-worn scars. His gaze holds a calm reassurance, a silent vow forged through shared hardships and relentless perseverance. And together, he adds quietly, "We found a galaxy worth saving." His voice is low but firm, carrying the weight of battles fought and lives defended. The contrast of his rugged exterior with the gentleness of his words creates a powerful presence, a living testament to the strength found not in isolation, but in unity. Side by side, they embody the enduring bond that turned lost souls into guardians of hope. Above the plaza, the raven's hold sigil glows softly against the twilight sky, a luminous emblem of resilience and new beginnings. Its intricate design pulses gently, casting a warm light that ripples across the gathered crowd. Citizens pause, eyes drawn upward in reverent silence, their faces illuminated by the emblem's glow. The sigil is more than a symbol. It is a beacon of hope born from struggle, a reminder that even in the darkest voids, unexpected alliances can ignite the light that guides generations forward. As the camera pans down to the hopeful faces below, the legacy of unity and courage shines bright, promising that the story is far from over.